So tonight we have one of my favorite people. I know we're not supposed to say that, but I'm going to say it anyway. Like one of my favorite people taking the Spirits book, part 3, to talk about spirits. This is an opportunity for us to learn what the spirits have answered Allan Kardec when he asked questions. So this is an opportunity for us to learn. So let us keep our minds and hearts open as we welcome Rafael.
Thank you. Seeing there? Okay, now it's on. 1 second. Thanks so much, everybody, for being here tonight. Good evening. Thanks so much, Cara. Okay, like she said, I'll be talking about the Spirits book, and I'll get there. It's the Spirits book. So I always like to talk about a little bit of the Spirits book before I present anything from it. So the version that we study, that we have anywhere available, it's the second edition of the Spirits book, which is from 1860, and it pretty much doubled the size of answers and questions and information from 1853 to 1860. And what I've been doing here, I've been trying to, every time I give a talk, I'm going to present, my plan is to present the whole Spirits book. And right now, I'm in the part 2 of the Spirits book. It's divided into 4 parts. It could be, depending on the version that you have, they call it book 1, 2, 3, 4, or part 1, 2, 3, 4. And right now, we're on part 2. I already went over part 1 of the Spirits book. And it talks about the first cause, so it talks about God, what we are, kind of like where we came from. But we'll touch a little bit more on that today as well. And from the part 2, the spirit world, I'm in the first chapter of it that's called the Spirits, and it's divided into those 8 parts, 8 sub-chapters, and this is the 3rd presentation that I gave about this chapter since it was too long. So the first time I presented, I'm gonna look this way because of the microphone. I talked about the origin and nature of the spirits. So it's pretty much where we came from, again, like compared to the first part of the book, like the first book. And here it talks about the origin of where we came from as a spirit. And then the second sub-chapter, it's the primitive normal world. It talks about the essence of our world that we are right now, the main world that we actually live. It's in the spiritual world. That's our primary place in there. The second part, it talks about the form and omnipresence of the spirit. So it gives some characteristics of us, the spirits that we are. The form and all of it. And that's when it got introduced, the idea of the perispirit, which is one of the bodies that it's part of us right now, that envelops the spirit. We are the spirit, and we have the perispirit, which is a body around the spirit. And that was on the first presentation. And then on the second part, we talked about the order of the spirits, a different order of the spirits, and then we saw the hierarchy in there. And one of the main things in there is that we all go through all the order of the spirits, no matter what. And it goes from the most imperfect to the most perfect one, morally and intellectually as well. And the hierarchy, when it goes over each one of those classes and explains in more details. And then today I'm going to be talking about the progression of the spirits, which is how we progress in that line. So it continues a lot on the same conversation from the second part. And then one thing that it's taboo, kind of, sort of, about angels and demons. What they are, why that idea came off, and where it came from. So tonight I'm gonna do the last 18 questions of that chapter, and then feel free to ask questions if I know or if I can direct you on a way to find more information about it. I will. You can just raise your hand. If I explain something, I discuss something, and it doesn't make sense, feel free to raise your hand too, because we're here. It's more interactive. That's what I like about this too. We can talk more about it. I know I don't know everything, barely touching this knowledge, but we're here to learn with each other. It's part of that, the progress. And one thing that Cara mentioned that I really liked, it's good to know as well. And I think I talked more about that on the explanation of the first book. How we got the information from the Spirit's book, how that information came to be. If you have watched the movie Kardec on Netflix, I strongly recommend, because it definitely brings you more questions. It's dubbed in English as well. It was shot in Portuguese, but they dubbed it to English if you want it. And it's really good because some of the actors speak English and they dub themselves. So I love it. You can still hear the accent in there. So in that movie, it talks the origin of the Spirit's book. Of course, they don't show all the details in there because it's a movie. We gotta shorten the story, but it gives a really good essence in there. But the main point is the Spirit's book. The questions are from Kardec and the research and all the communication with the spirits that it came from him and the group that was researching it. And the answer was based on different ways like that he got the message. For example, imagine in the 1860s, like 50s, middle 50s. You guys live in France and you guys in Germany. And then you guys studying the phenomena of the moving tables, the dancing tables, psychography, and all of that. And then Kardec knows French and German. I don't know if he knows German, but I think so. But he sent this group questions, the same questions for both of you. And he actually did it for several groups and compiled that information and compared them. And then based on the way the answers were given and what the information was there, the more information that matched it, those information he thought that would be closer to the truth. That's one way that was done. So the answers that we get from the Spirit's book, it's from spirits that are above us, the level that we are, okay? So, and a lot of the information, it's really hard to understand, but it's nice because Kardec asks questions like right after it, like more questions. Hey, you said this, but how about this? What did you mean by that? And reading the Spirit's book, you have a lot of you see a lot of that in there. So just have that in mind. Okay, any comments, questions? Okay, feel free to raise your hand anytime. So let's start with the progression of the spirits. Question 114. Are spirits good or bad by nature? Or are the same spirits made better by the force of their own effort? So he's asking, think about it. We just saw the order of the spirits, the hierarchy, where you go from inferior to superior, from class 10 to 1. So he wants to know more about it. So he's asking, are the spirits by nature, by their creation, good or bad, or they get better by their own choices? Answer. The same spirits are made better through their own efforts. They rise from lower to a higher order as they improve. So we as the spirits, we're going to learn, we're going to progress, we're going to go based on our own effort, we're going to raise ourselves. Yes?
So do we actually learn by reincarnating? Every time we come back here?
Okay, so the question, I'm going to repeat for the people online as well. So the question was, do we learn by the reincarnations? That's one way that we learn. That's one way. Like reincarnation, we come back again and we go different situations, We try, fix situations if we think that we need to fix situations, create new bonds with each other. So that's for me, that's what it is. And we learn it. When you go to school and we don't learn a lesson, we repeat a year. I'm not saying that we're repeating on each incarnation because we can go different grades, but the idea is in there. Make sense? Yes.
But isn't it true that we keep coming back because we didn't learn?
Oh, the question was, is it true that we keep coming back because we didn't learn?
Not true, but
there's more stuff to learn. Do we learn everything on going like through just one grade? That's my question. So it's good. It's good questions. Like, imagine like everything that we can learn. Is it easier to learn all of it in one life? Like, just on our point of view, I don't think so. So it's a good thing to come back and revisit things. But good questions. Okay, question 115. Are some spirits created good or others bad? So if the spirits are created good or bad. Answer. God created all spirits simple and unaware, meaning lack all knowledge. God has given them each a particular mission to enlighten them and help them gradually reach perfection through the knowledge of the truth and rise closer to Him. In that perfection, they will find eternal bliss without any troubles. The spirits acquire knowledge by experiencing the trials inflicted by God, while others accept these trials with resignation and arrive at their destiny more quickly. Others are defiant and remain far from the perfection and happiness promised to them through no fault other than their own. So I highlighted here what I think is like really important. We are created simple and unaware of our situation. So how are we going to learn? We don't know anything. We're simple. We don't know anything. Imagine, I would compare we as a child. We don't know things. We got to learn. We got to learn how to walk, to talk, like what to do with things around. Like, it's annoying sometimes when the kids always like pushing stuff, like throwing stuff on the ground. Like, what is that kid? It's learning things. In a way, if I push it, it's going to fall. What's going to happen? Oh, my dad's going to pick it up all the time. Oh, yeah, it's interacting with me, so I'm going to do it again, you know? So we're learning in that situation. It's the same answer. That's the answer from the Spirit in there. And then it gives us in here as well, on the bottom here. It depends on how we deal with those situations, we deal with ourselves, we'll learn. No, we didn't. It's here. So it depends on us, on how we're going to learn, if we're paying attention to it or not. But also, we're unaware. So we don't know yet. So we're going to interact with it to be more aware of it.
Aren't they using the same thing as free will? To me,
The same.
summarize that as free will.
Yeah, because we learn on our own. Free will. We're making the decisions. Yeah. Touch more on the idea of free will. Yes, but yes, it's there. Yes.
Rafael, there on the text it's saying that the spirits learn by the trials inflicted by God.
Mm-hmm.
Why God does inflict the trials, and why
Okay.
I think we inflict trials on ourselves?
Yeah, that's what I think it is here. In the bottom, promise to them through no fault other than their own, so we don't reach that perfection and the happiness because of our faults, because we're not learning it. So I don't think God is punishing us. He wants us to learn, that we are spirits, that we are connected with each other. We are, in the previous chapters, it talks about that man, like humankind, the human being, it's one of the forces of nature.
Rafael,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
where it reads, the spirits are higher to knowledge, experiencing trials inflicted by God.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what he's saying is, why will God is a good.
Mm-hmm.
So why will God be inflicting trials upon us?
That's what I'm saying. Us. It's us. Yeah, it's the free will. You will see more of it. It's more of us. It's not God inflicting, like, oh, you should be punished, or you have to learn this. We learn the things that we want to, the things that we see, But of course, later on on book 3, we're going to see the natural laws or divine laws, depending on the version they did. Oh, Pachi presented. It was in English or Portuguese, your talk? English? So it's on the YouTube channel or the Facebook. On the book 3, it's the divine laws or natural laws. It talks about laws of nature. And since we as spirits are a force of nature as well, we follow those laws. you know? And things, for example, I'll bring Jesus' religion in here. Things that Jesus said, for example, love God above all and each other as loved yourself, like I loved you, or as you love yourself. That's one of the nature of love, you know, like we gotta love each other. And what is love? You know, respecting each other the way we are, the way each one of us are, because all of us has a different experience. So we're all different from each other. So respecting ourselves, that's one of the laws of nature, you know. Nature outside does the same thing. You know, the birds will respect the tree, you know, they'll modify the world. Some birds will build their nests. So what they're gonna do? They're gonna pick stuff and build it. They're modifying the way Earth is, the same way we are. But we gotta keep a balance. We gotta keep it in the more I believe we disturb, that will go to the punishment. The greater disturbance that we create, the harder it is for us to adapt. So if we do things like too fast, we may create a problem for us, but we're gonna deal with that. That's gonna be our learning. We're gonna learn with it. Who he hasn't done something like made a bad choice that haven't learned with it? There's some stuff that we haven't learned. I know I haven't learned with it. I still do it again.
We can even look at these trials inflicted by God as free will, because he gave us too much freedom, and
Yep.
at the end we learn by our own choices.
Yep. She's saying that we have free will. We made those choices, so we got to learn with it. There are consequences on things that we do. I can choose to go through a red light. What are the chances of a cop stopping me and giving me a ticket, or hitting a car, having an accident? Is it God punishing me? No, I chose to speed it up and like cross a red light, you know? He's not punishing, like God is not punishing me. It's myself, yes.
Saying that that God is the author of the natural laws that are free will and destiny.
She's asking if like God is the natural law. It's the author of the natural laws. Okay, so the question one of the Spirit's book, what is God? Do you remember the answer? The first cause. And then I don't have to quote it. Like the first cause. What else? And the supreme intelligence, right? So the supreme intelligence, I would agree with that. I think so. So we're still learning about the progression of ourselves, like us as spirits. So in there, Kardec asked a question to better understand it. So he asked, according to this statement, spirits are like children when they are born, unaware and without experiences. However, gradually, they acquire the knowledge that they lack by experiencing the different phases of human life. I kind of spoiled it. Answer, yes, that is a fair comparison. Rebellious children remain ignorant and imperfect. How much they benefit depends on their obedience. A person's life has an end, while that of spirits extends beyond infinity. So, one thing like me reading it right now again, now that I'm seeing this part here, like the rebellious children remain ignorant and imperfect. How much do they benefit depends on their obedience. Think about the structure of society that we have, like the religious one. It's always I'm not saying that we should be all rebellious. It's the way it is, but it's not that good. We gotta watch them depending on the situation. But if they don't remain ignorant and imperfect, if they stop, they're gonna look at what they did and they can learn a lot of it by experience. It may even go a little bit faster. But if we stop, but I'm not saying that just obedience in here.
What is rebellious and what is ignorant or imperfect? I'd say psychology. I don't know. Just looking at this in a psychology point of view, I don't find very rebellious children, like the words ignorant, perfect. I have a hard time with that.
Okay.
It's the words that exist.
I would go back to to the ignorant.
Every children is dark.
I would without knowledge. Good or mean. And here I would say the unawareness, yes. The same word that we saw before. I have the pointer. Here, right? Oh, here. Unaware. More than ignorant, meaning lacking all knowledge. So that's what the ignorant part is. You know?
I think it means rebellious in the sense that people don't listen to their conscience, right? You go to make a choice in life and you know what the path of kindness and forgiveness is, and some people choose to ignore that. In that case, if they're rebellious towards, their inner voice.
Yep. But again, like you said, we have free will. We're going to say more about that for sure. Good. I like it today. More people are talking. Last time I was talking the whole time. 116. Do any spirits remain in the lower ranks forever? Answer, no. They all eventually become perfect. They change over the course of time, no matter how long the process may take. As we have already explained, a just and merciful Father cannot condemn his children to eternal banishment. Do you presume that God, in his infinite goodness and divine justice, is less kind than you? So, main point in here, we don't stay that way forever. We will become perfect. We will reach higher levels. Yes, so that's why eventually. And we saw before, it's going to depend on us. That's right in there. So the more we don't pay attention to it, the more we don't look at ourselves, the longer it's going to be for us. But we're all going to get there. Question 117. Are the spirits themselves responsible for accelerating their progress to perfection? Answer, of course. They reach their goal more or less quickly, depending on the force of their desire and the degree of their submission to God's will. Doesn't a docile and submissive child learn faster than one who is stubborn and lazy? So, you see, depends on us, our desire. If I'm going to a tough situation, I don't know, dealing with depression and all of it, I can choose not do anything and stay home, or try to go to a doctor and do therapy. Will I get better faster if I do nothing, or if I do something?
Rafael,
Yes.
I'm having a little bit of hard time.
That's okay. Good.
Isn't this what regular life is about? Isn't that what you and I and them, we live this every day? If we don't do this, we don't move.
Yeah.
It's up to us.
Who are the spirits?
Us?
Us.
Okay.
So that's our progression.
Okay. In my mind, I'm thinking that I'm dealing with dead people. I say, my God.
Yeah. But think about it. Let's think about it a little bit. It's a good point. Imagine before the Spirit's book. I know we had religion that touched a lot of it, but we didn't practice that.
Okay.
So with the Spirit's book, we're getting access to sort of new information, but it's on our face, that information. Like, now that we know this, that we're studying here all together, we're talking about it, it's on us if we want to try to do that or not, like to look at ourselves, look at our lives, to change our behaviors a little bit, And now in here, we know that we'll get better. We know things are going to change. It's going to depend on our desire, right? Yeah. So now we cannot deny that we've seen this. Through our lives, we could be unaware if nobody told us this. Make sense? Before we study, like before here tonight, let's forget that if we studied this before or not. Before, we are all unaware of our progression. I'm just assuming that we never saw this. But now we are. We know that we're spirit. We know that we have different lives. We come back again. So what are going to be my choices? Do I want to make this world better? It can be seen as selfish. Do I want to make this world better to when I come back? do want to leave it the way it is so somebody else do it, or I do not want to do anything, you know. But before we didn't know about it. Before we're talking here tonight, we didn't know about it. So we're unaware. We're ignorant of that situation. But now we are. And that's going to make us. I'm not saying that I have all the answers to all of it, but now we're looking at things different. Imagine.
What does it mean when it reads, doesn't a docile and submissive child learn faster than one is stubborn?
Mm-hmm. To be honest with you, I would ignore this part.
Being submissive.
Yeah,
Not like
to be honest with you, I would ignore this part.
submissiveness. No.
Well, it's submitting to your intuition.
Submissiveness.
Like, for example, right, when I was 6 years old, I was a small child. I had a younger brother who was 1. We were hanging out in the backyard. There was like a barbecue going on, and I saw a coal like fall on the ground. My little brother, who's like walking around barefoot, I had the intuition that, hey, like he's gonna step on that hot coal, right? But I ignored that, and he ended up stepping on it and burning himself, right? So essentially, I made the choice to not help him. And so, since we all have that intuition, some people choose to listen to their consciousness, and some people don't, and they choose to remain ignorant.
I'm going to change the story a little bit. Think about, like, he saw it, that it has the hot coal, and the brother, which is younger, was coming to it. So he knows better what a coal is. Mm-hmm. He tells his brother, don't step on it. If he's docile and submissive, he's not going to step on it. But then I'll put another question in there. If he doesn't step on it or doesn't get aware of that coal, hot coal, of what that hot coal is he ever going to learn it? You know? So
He learned it.
he learned it. Maybe he stepped on it.
I learned the hard way. I still remember that day.
So that's a real story?
It is.
So it is? It is a real story. So think about it. All the bad situations that we go through it, we may think that it's like God punishing us. No, it's something for us to learn. If I don't hit my foot in here, how am I gonna notice, like know what it is, what is hard, you know? But of course, now we have more knowledge around it, you know, like our intellectual power, it's greater. It's easier for us to understand. We can communicate. We have language that we can communicate. Hey, we had previous experience of what hot is called this, and now I can explain to you, like now imagine we're teenagers now. Your brother is 15, you're 19. Now the brother has a greater capacity of understanding that is hot. So now he doesn't need to touch it to know that it's hot. Right. But he has a greater capacity now to understand it. Or it could be stubborn and lazy and do it. Yeah. But free will again. And we'll see more of it. Question 118. Can spirits regress? So unevolve, I guess? Answer, no. They learn what was impeded their progress. They learn what has impeded their progress as they advance. When the spirits finish a trial, they learn the lesson of the trial and never forget it. They may remain stationary, but they never regress. So we don't not learn the stuff that we learn. It's pretty much what it is. It may seem, because, for example, we forget when we reincarnate, we forget some stuff. It may seem that we're not learning it, but think about it, we still have the intuition. We still have the voice inside our head that tells us, you know. And we also have intelligence to analyze the situation, to think about the situation. But if we don't, we just go there without thinking. But it doesn't mean that we did not learn. We lost it. It's still in there. But the more we go through it, the more we're going to learn. Okay? But we never go back. We never go back. One example that I would give, it's from the first part of the book that talks about the progression of the spirits, that we evolved as a spirit. We had stages like in the vegetable kingdom, animal kingdom. I would pour more on that. We don't go back that far. Okay? But it's online too. You guys can watch, or we can talk about that later too. Make sense? Okay. Question 119. Could God exempt spirits from the trials that they must still undergo in order to reach the highest rank? Answer: if they have been created perfect, they would not have merit to enjoy of such perfection. Where would the merit be without struggles? Besides, the inequality that exists between spirits is necessary to develop their personality, and the mission that each spirit accomplishes at each step of their progress is part of God's plan for ensuring the harmony of the universe. So, it's asking, the question's pretty much saying, if God could just make us perfect in the way that we know everything, we know all of it, it's saying no, because we're going to learn through it. How would we enjoy that perfection? Like have, I would say that pride even with ourselves that we learn, you know? No, and we go through those struggles so we can learn. We saw that they were created simple and unaware, so we're developed that with time. Okay, and the struggles, again, it's nothing more than a new opportunity for us to learn, yes.
I think we see that in capitalist society too. We don't value what we get for free. We only value things that cost. And then things that are more expensive, we perceive that means it's more valuable. So I think it's the same way with knowledge, that anything that comes easy and free, we don't value that. But what we learn the hard way, we value that.
I can see that. Yeah, so that's it. Okay. Question 120. Do all spirits travel the road of evil to arrive at good? Answer: the road traveled is more like the one of unawareness than evilness. So it's saying that that all spirits they have, like they will go from evil to good, and the answer is, it doesn't happen there. It's no. It's more like we are unaware of what we're doing. Like we don't know what we're doing. So we call that evil. You know, if I don't know that we're connected, we depend on each other as a society, and I harm you, it's not that I'm doing evil. I'm unaware that we are a community. I'm unaware that we're a community. We need each other. You're a psychiatrist or a psychologist, or you just study? Question for you. He does that's the work. I graduated in chemistry. What do you do? What do you study? I don't know. He's a teacher, so we need all of us in the society. He cannot do everything by himself. I cannot do everything by myself. Like he cannot do everything by himself. So we're here learning. And we saw in the question before the inequality exists between spirits is necessary to develop their personality and the mission for us to progress, of their progress. So we learn with each other. You know, I'm here talking about the Spirit's book, but we're discussing things, and I'm learning, you know, reinforcing things, and we're getting new experience from each other, you know. So it's in there. So it's not that we're evil. We see as evil. We label this evil, but we're unaware that we need each other, that we're a huge family, that the question was if all the spirits, they need to be evil to be good. It's saying it's not that they're evil, they're unaware, they don't know about the situation. No. Yeah. It's awareness. And yeah. And that difference of what we know, the inequality of what we know, it helps us. Because, like, I don't have a kid, but I know you have a kid. So I can learn a little bit of how to be a mother with her. I don't have the experience. That's a difference in there. You know, so we're here. That difference, I could treat a child, a kid, like being rude or being mean to that kid, you know, but that's a difference. That's something that I haven't learned, but you as a mother and us interacting, I will learn with you in there. So it's not that I'm evil. I'm unaware of the feelings of a child at that point. Like I'm unaware of it, but then when I'm with you, we talk. We learn that we're unaware. If you think that I'm evil, what would you do? Oh, he should go to prison. I don't know, I should like hit the kid or put in time out on something. But no, we talk. Of course, there will be situations that the person doesn't want to learn. We saw that before, but that's a different situation. But again, we're talking about the progression of spirits. So our progression in there. Yeah. Question 121. How is it that some spirits have traveled the road of the righteous and other the road of evil? Answer. You're going to like it. Do they not have free will? Has God not created bad? God has not created bad spirits. They were all created simple and unaware, possessing an equal aptitude for good or bad. Those who become bad become so of their own volition, their own choices. So how could some spirits travel that unaware, that evil path, the ignorant path? Because we have free will. We're going to learn. We can choose. Because we can choose. And if we choose not to think about each other, not to see each other as a family, we're seen as evil. We gave that word evil. Make sense? Okay, question 122. How can spirits possess freedom of choice between good and bad at their origin when they have not yet acquired self-awareness? Is there any principle leading them to either one road over the other? So it's asking, how come we have free will if we don't know what the situation is? We're unaware. We don't have awareness of it. Is there any principle is that anything else behind it? Answer. Free will is developed as the spirits acquire consciousness. Freedom would not exist for them if they made choices by any means other than use of their will. The causes that determine their choices are not within, but outside of them, via the influence to which they voluntarily yield because of their free will. This choice is represented by the fall of humanity and the concept of original sin. Some spirits yield to temptation, while others resisted successfully. So the main thing that I get from here is like the free will that we develop as we get conscious. I'll make the comparison again of the child that we have. Do we let a 5-year-old go make their own meal? Does the 5-year-old has the free will to do it? But as we get older and we learn more about it, we get the free will. You see? And again, I want to point out again, in society, we need each other. So one of the responsibilities of the parents is to teach the other ones. Yeah. And it has more questions in there about that same answer. So Kardec asks us, from where do the influence that act upon them originate? So we saw that the choices that sometimes that we make, even though we have the free will, it comes from the influence that we receive and that we voluntarily yield, so we accept it. Okay? So he's asking where that influence comes from. So the answer is from imperfect spirits who seek to dominate them and take pleasure in watching their failures. This temptation is required metaphorically as Satan. So we know that there's more spirits. There are other spirits. We have us incarnated, we have the other ones that are not. And from the previous talk, we saw that we have a progression. We have from imperfect to perfect, right? So those imperfect spirits, even us here incarnated, we could be those. We can influence each other, okay? So let's say, I don't like Fernanda. I can come to Aureo and be like, hey, Aureo, like, she's crazy, and all, like, he's gonna develop like hate to her if he listens to me. So you see the influence, I'm influencing him, I'm in perfect spirit, but if he yields to it, that's his choice, free will, but he's developing it as well. So we can do that, but then we gotta learn with it. So those imperfect spirits will try to dominate us, to influence us. But if we choose, we can choose or not to follow to that. And then he asks us again, does this influence only act upon a spirit at its does this influence act upon a spirit at its inception? Answer: it follows the spirits through all the phases of existence until it has acquired such absolute self-control that vile spirits abandon the attempt to tempt him or her. So throughout all our existence, there's going to be those spirits that are imperfect. And they're going to be tempting us. That's how the idea of Satan came, the evil, like the devil came to be. And until we learn self-control, we're still going to continue receiving that influence. Okay? So who hasn't, I know I have this one, driving around and suddenly you see like, oh, what would happen if I just do like a sharp turn?
Have you ever had that thought?
Yes. You never hold a cup and you're like, what would happen if I just dropped it?
No.
You know? But it's me. Oh, okay, I don't have self-control. You have it. I don't have self-control. But if I act on it, I don't have self-control. But I have self-control. I don't do it. What? You never had a random thought on do something really like weird or bad? Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah. What? Yeah. You never had intrusive thoughts? That's okay. That's good. That's good. Yeah. That's good. That's good. I'll get there one day. But one thing that I'll tell you, like it's not secret here that I had panic attacks. That was the time that I had the most intrusive thoughts. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
But I always had. I'll be honest with you, I always had. Since I remember, I always had. But I thought those thoughts were mine. You know? I even had suicide thoughts that way. I thought they were mine. You know? And I was terrified. And that would amplify my panic attacks. After I came here and I started studying it and I started learning that there's influence that I could get by other spirits, because we can talk here, right?
Yeah.
A discarnated spirit can do the same thing, but we're not aware because we're in a body, right? So I learned it. So when I had those intrusive thoughts, I was like, wait a minute, is that me? Do I want to do this? Self-control? No. So I still get them from time to time, not at that level, but now I know it's not me, you know? No, it's good. It's good. No, I like it. That's why I like talking, because it makes more interactive.
Doesn't mean that always it's not you. Sometimes it can be.
Yeah, it could be me, but do I really know who I am? So that's the thing. So what I assume, like for me, personal thing, I assume that all those thoughts are not mine. But what I do, it's me. That's the only thing that I guarantee it's me. So now when those things happen, I'll be like, wait a minute, is that me? I'll tell you a story. My father has a company. Go ahead.
Your thoughts are not you, but your actions are you.
Yes.
Did I hear you say
Yeah. The ones that okay, all of them, it's me. My choices, yeah, the choices that I make.
No. What you
The
said
actions.
was, my thoughts are not me. My actions are me.
Yeah, I consider my actions me. Those thoughts could be mine. It could be mine, but it could not be mine. So I will assume that they are not mine. That's a personal thing. I will assume that those thoughts are not mine, but I have the control on what I do. So I choose. So I express my free will. And that way, I guarantee that it's me. Because I went through a thought process and I guarantee. I may be totally wrong, but that's the thing that I do with myself. No, it's good. No, nothing's wrong on the side. But I just want to be clear that that's one thing that I do and helped me. So if you helped one of you, awesome. There's different ways for sure, but that's one way that my experience gave me that, Yes, Hannah.
There are some people that can be like puppets in the hands of bad spirits or bad energy that they will act even without knowing what they're doing. They go to a crazy level.
But remember, we do the voluntary yield. But think about it. We all are at different levels. We're not aware of it. We are studying this right now. We're discussing it right now. So we are more aware of it. Somebody that's not, I'm not saying that all situations are that, but now we are aware of it. The other person may not be. So it's different. And remember, we all have different stages of our progression. We're here to help each other. And one thing may work for one person, may not work for another person, because we all different stages as well. Make sense? What was I going to say? Yes.
Your story.
Oh, yes. My story. Okay.
I want to know.
So it's my dad owns a business in Brazil. And since I was little, I was never interested. Like, there was something that I had no interest in on it, the type of work. I didn't have an interest in it. So I never wanted to inherit that, okay? So I have a friend that she's older, like her parents died, her husband died, a lot of people are dying because it's a natural way that will happen, right? So one day I was visiting her, I was in the shower, and then it came this random thought, like, oh, be so friend of her so she'll leave the money for you at the will. I was like, what the hell? Like, what, again, like intrusive thoughts? What's that? And then I stopped for a second, like I got a little bit scared of it. I was like, this is so weird. So I thought for a second, I was like, wait a minute. I don't usually make those choices. So that's not me. So I was like, you know what, that's not me, whatever. But I could have at that point chosen to accept that thought and act upon it. But I've been doing this self-awareness job, with myself. So I'm like, wait a minute, that's not me, So, and here, it's exactly what it's telling here, that imperfect spirits will seek to dominate us, to watch our failures, It could have been a situation, Okay, some money would be awesome for me. Yes, it makes, I could have done all the stuff, but is that someone that I am? No. It's not what I want it to be, yeah. So, and I had some self-control to not to. That may happen again, but now I'm more aware of it. That's one thing that I like that happening here. I'm more aware of myself and things that are going on.
Make the change when you're aware of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was that person.
Mm-hmm. Okay, any more? No? Question 123. Why has God enabled the possibility of spirits taking the wrong path? Answer. How do you dare ask God to give account to the divine acts? Do you think you can penetrate God's designs? Instead, we should say that the wisdom of God is shown in the free will that God grants to every spirit. For each has the merit of his or own or her action. So, we all have the merit of our own action. That's what I get from here. We're learning. We saw before that we're learning, so I'm combining all the questions in here, ignoring this part in here. But we all have the free will, and we're gonna get the merits of our own actions. Okay? So that's why we have the possibility to take anyway, not just the wrong way, anyway. Question 124. Since there are spirits who unawarely travel the path of righteousness right from the beginning, and others who swerve onto the wrong path, isn't it likely that there are many degrees of deviation between these two extremes? Answer. Of course. These degrees constitute the path of most spirits. So, between being totally aware and going straight, and being completely lost, and taking all the wrong ways, those degrees in between, that's what most of us choose. So it's in between all of that. I would recommend watch part 2 because we go through all the different classes and the hierarchy. It will make more sense in there. Question, it's missing the progression of spirits there. Question 125. Will spirits who have chosen the wrong road be able to reach the same degree of elevation as others? Answer, yes. But the turn is, will be longer for them. So we all gonna, the main thing here, we all gonna reach the degree of elevation. And when we're reading about the scale, when it talks about the pure spirits, which is the highest level, like for it talks about that spirit that reached that level, it went through all the other classes and level. So, and that's a progression that we all gonna take. It's missing there, but the progression is there. That's a progression. That's the place that we are gonna get. It's gonna depend on us how fast we get there. It's not a race, but still. Question 126. Are spirits who have reached the supreme degree after wandering down the wrong path less worthy than others in God's eyes? So the question here is, as those spirits that are all wrong, they have a different place than the ones that are good? Answer. God views the drifters who have returned to the right path with the same approval and loves them regardless of their past. They have been classified as bad spirits because they yield to bad temptations. Before their fall, they were merely simple spirits. So all of us, all of them were simple spirit once, and we all gonna get to the stage of pure spirits. And there's no difference to us when we get there. No difference to us. So for me today, like reading this, what changed it for me, like reading this a couple of times, is that we all gonna get there. You know, we're all here learning. I'm here learning. So being interacting with each other, it's gonna help me see the way I am, where I'm at, you know. But we all gonna get there. So it's teaching me a little bit more of compassion with myself and others, because it doesn't matter the level that we are, we all gonna get there. So it's just a path. We're here learning. We came from this. We're all mere simple spirits. We don't know where we are, where each other are. You know, but we're gonna get there. So we're here learning.
You know what the beauty of just that statement?
Mm-hmm.
The beauty is that every single religion believes in it.
Mm-hmm.
So we all will get there. Whatever is there, I don't know, but we will get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. That's why I think when we read about Jesus, he accepted everybody because of that. He knew. We're learning. Each one of us has a different thing that we can add, that we already learned, and we can add to each other. You know? Question 127. Are all spirits created equal in terms of intellectual capacity? Answer. They're all created equal, but as they do not know from where they originate, their free will must take its course. They progress more or less rapidly in both intelligence and morality. So we all created equal, so we have the capacity to learn, the intellectual capacity, but it's going to depend on what we choose. And then the progress, we're both going to progress intellectually and morally in that. But we all created equal. We saw that as well. Now we get to the second part, angels and demons. That's a shorter part now. So, because we saw a little bit like Satan, the idea of Satan, and so now it asks about that. Question 128. Do angels, archangels, and seraphim consist of a special category different than that of other spirits? Answer. No. They are pure spirits. Those who have reached the highest degree of the ladder are all united in perfection. So all of them, angels is just a spirit for us. What we label as the angel or archangel, seraphim, are just those spirits that reach the pure, the first class. Question 129. Have the angels passed through every degree of progress? Answer. Yes. But with the difference that we have already mentioned. Some of them, accepting their mission with resignation, have reached their goal more quickly, while others have taken longer in reaching the same goal. But all of them got to that first class. Question 130. If the opinion that acknowledges that some beings have been created perfect and superior to all others is wrong, why is this belief found in almost every population or religion. So the idea of angels and demons, like bad and good spirits, in this case, just the good spirits, the angel, the ones that are created perfectly and superior. Why do we see that everywhere? Like different populations, civilizations. Answer. You need to understand that your world has not existed from all eternity. Long before it existed, masses of spirits had already attained the supreme degree. Therefore, the people on earth naturally assume that those perfect spirits have always been at the same degree of elevation. So, before our planet existed, we already had spirits that reached that level. And for us learning it, going through the past, they're always going to be perfect while we're learning. So that's why we think that they always existed, the angels. Make sense? Okay. Question 31. Do demons, as commonly understood, exist? Answer. If demons existed, they would be God's work. Would it be just on the part of God to create beings eternally condemned to a life of wickedness and misery? If demons exist, it is on your low world and any others of the similar degree. People who represent a just God as being cruel and vindictive, and who believed they will receive God's approval through the misdeeds they commit, are hypocrites. So, do demons exist? Just the same way that we have like the angels, we have those that do not want to change, do not want to learn. And we don't know when we were created. We don't know when our journey started. We don't know it. We could have been here like in perfect spirit. We could have came here in perfect spirits and still chose to be perfect, to not learn, to still influence other people and do our likes. So from that, the same perspective, like of the good spirits, those that are already rich at the pure level before Earth was created. So for us, it feels that they always existed. The same thing could be what we call demons. Hmm? It's what we choose, but we name them. Just like we named evil, being that we are unaware of a situation. In here, those that always looked, imagine all your life, you saw me as being rude to people, hitting everybody, always talking bad about everybody, and never changed, like since you first saw me. You would think that I'm changing the time, but you would think that I'm demon because I always been that way. Okay, so actually this is the last question. So after this, there's a whole discussion. There's a card back about this situation, and I really recommend you all to read. I know it looks like it went way faster than before, actually, the last time I did this. So, do you guys like it the way it was? I enjoyed the interaction. Okay, so if you want to know more about it or see the other chapters, we have the books here, first of all, if you want it, because I like having the book and writing on it. But you can go online to Kardecpedia or download the app on your phone. They have all these languages in there. I always have like the first 4. So Portuguese, French, English, Spanish, German, Italian, Russian, I think, right? And Chinese, simplified, and the other one. So it's all in there. Like all those, actually, I got everything from there, the questions. Reading, like in text form.
There's audiobooks for the Spirits book on YouTube.
Yeah, okay, see? So if you want to know more in here, we have the study in Portuguese though, of the Spirits book, the topics from the Spirits book in here, a 7 before it. We also have the Spirit Realm study that would touch on different things, but related. So any questions, anything? So thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you so much, Rafael, for bringing the Spirits book. And if you have any questions, you can also talk with Rafael after this. I have some reminders for you. So you can invite yourself to go to one of our WhatsApp groups, and posted are made by the admins. It's not a chat a group. It's just a channel for us to communicate our events and what's going on here in the center. So it's very useful. And if you can't do it by yourself, we can help you. So we're going to have the wings of the Enneagram. If you want to get to know yourself on a deeper level, so we have the Enneagram, which is a map of your personality. So there are 9 personality types. It has been forever, this Enneagram, but it was included in the university programs here in the States in the 60s. So it started in Berkeley University in Berkeley, California, to United States, to the world. So it's a very, very interesting, and it's the